Daily Bible Time, Dominic Steele. Good morning, and it is Isaiah chapter 24 today, this Wednesday morning, the 31st of August. And we start what Barry Webb says is the climax of the central section of Isaiah. This section, Isaiah 24, 25, 26, 27, and really it's apocalyptic. It's a whole different tone. Devastating judgment in chapter 24 today, followed by song, chapter 25, feasting, song, still more song, chapter 27, and then a final conclusion at the end of chapter 27. And the theme of the whole lot is the triumph of God, which is good news because that means the reign of sin and death is at an end. The kingdom of God at last comes in its fullness, and this apocalypse, or unveiling of the end, anticipates really the better known apocalypse, the book of Revelation, which serves as the grand finale of the Bible as a whole. But if you think judgment and salvation, today is judgment. And so chapter 24 verse 1, look, the Lord is stripping the earth bare and making it desolate. He'll twist its surface and scatter its inhabitants. And we're immediately seeing the judgment of the Lord is terrible, and we're going to see glorious as well. But terrible here is really on view today, and it's indiscriminate. So verse 2, people and priest alike, servant and master, female servant and mistress, buyer and seller, lender and borrower, creditor and debtor. The earth will be stripped completely bare. Now, one of the things that jumped out at me was just up back at the beginning. Look, the Lord is stripping the earth bare. It's just about to happen. It could happen any time. And one of the comments that Barry Webb made that I found super helpful was just to note that only a God whose control of history is so complete that he could bring it to a close at any moment is worth worshipping. And when God does bring this final judgment to bear, there'll be no respecter of persons. Everybody will be judged. A little bit like back with the great flood in Genesis. Everybody drowned except for that tiny group who were in the ark with Noah. Now, let's jump forward to this. It's judgment, and it's apocalyptic. It's kind of overwhelming. The new wine mourns, verse 7, the vine withers, the carousers groan, the joyful tambourines have ceased, the noise of the jubilant has stopped, the joyful lyre has ceased. They no longer sing and drink wine, beer is bitter to those who drink it, the city of chaos is shattered, every house is closed to entry. And so verse 12, only desolation remains in the city, its gate has collapsed in ruins. And then this little positive note in verses 14, 15, 16, where suddenly there's a little bit of hope. They raise their voices, they sing aloud, they proclaim in the west the majesty of the Lord. Therefore in the east honour the Lord, in the coasts and the islands of the west honour the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. From the ends of the earth we hear songs, the splendour of the righteous one. Now, there's a positive burst, and as Webb says, over the scene of desolation, a song of praise goes up from the east and the west and from the earth's farthest limits. This is the new song of Revelation 5. The song of the redeemed. God will not destroy the righteous with the wicked. He will spare those who have turned to him and waited for his salvation. And there's a cross-reference there to Isaiah 25 verse 9. But Isaiah is too burdened to join that song yet. And so Isaiah says, but I said, verse 16, waste away, woe is me. The treacherous act treacherously, the treacherous deal very treacherously. Panic, pit and trap await you. And we're plunged back into the mood of judgment for the rest of the chapter. When the chapter finishes though, the last line of the chapter is really to point out, and this is something that I think I need to be reminded of. The final goal of judgment is in the end the glory of God, and the visible display of the glory of God's character. So the last line of the chapter, the moon will be put to shame, the sun disgraced, because the Lord of armies will reign as king on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, and he will display his glory in the presence of the elders. And so, as Webb notes, there's actually really a special touch of grace in the fact that the redeemed people are mentioned, back in verses 14, 15, 16, but also here he will display his glory in the presence of his elders. The elders were the special objects of his wrath in 3:14 and 9:15, and yet the Lord's triumph will not be for himself alone, but for his people as well. His glory consists now not only of his own righteousness, but also of his grace, and how thankful should we be for that tremendous fact. Well, that's the first chapter, chapter 24 of Isaiah, in this little apocalyptic, I shouldn't say little apocalyptic, this significant apocalyptic section, 24 through 27, this climax section in the middle of Isaiah. And if you think, well, that's been a bit depressing, Dominic, this judgment, the good news starts tomorrow on Daily Bible Time, and we start to sing and rejoice and party, because on the one hand you've got judgment, but on the other hand, salvation. We'll look forward to that tomorrow on Daily Bible Time. Thanks for joining us. See you then. God bless.